Coming up, we're going to get into some Chicago Bears cut candidates. I filmed this yesterday following the Bears preseason opener against the Miami Dolphins, but I thought the information that came in last night was relevant to this topic because the Bears are reportedly signing the following three players: safety Mark Perry, cornerback Mekhi Garner, and other cornerback Kaleb Hayes. Now, I broke down all three of these players and all of these signings on a video last night, so you can subscribe and check that out. But the reason I wanted to mention this on this video is, A, here are all the injuries in the secondary, so that's part of why they had to bring these guys on board. You got 6 DBs that are injured. They had to cut Amir Speed with an injury designation. But also, if they're signing 3 players, that means they have to make 3 roster moves, whether that's placing a player on IR, whether that's cutting 3 players, so whatever the case may be. Very relevant to a cut candidates video, so stay tuned. Coming up next is some Chicago Bears cut candidates that could take place either very soon or between now and week 1. With one preseason game in the books, we're going to take a look at some fresh Bears cut candidates here on today's show. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's show. Before we get to that list, name a player right now. Any player right now that you should cut. Who do you want Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson to send to the curb? Let us know in the comments section of this video. All right, number 1 is Tyler Scott. I just think it's over, man. The few times they panned him on the sideline, he's kind of standing by himself. He had the one catch over the middle for like 7 yards, but I just think it's done. I think he's behind a lot of guys that are stylistically similar to him. I still think it was alarming last year that he basically didn't play at all, and I know we didn't like that coaching staff, but, you know, he was behind DeAndre Carter and, you know, even Colin Johnson at times. It was just weird. I just don't think it's going to happen here. And maybe he's a guy who needs a fresh start somewhere. Not only is he behind the obvious ones, the DJs, the Romes, the Zacchaeuses, the Burdens, but even like Devin Duvernay, clearly ahead of him. You know, getting into the game at receiver earlier obviously has the return value. Maurice Alexander seems to be a guy that is getting more opportunities and taking advantage of those. I think he's near the bottom. I don't even think he's on the bubble at this point, if I'm being completely honest. So it's disappointing. Clock's not out yet, I suppose, but something would have to drastically shift for Tyler Scott to make this 53-man roster. Jonathan Ford, a player I liked last year. They brought him in on the Packers practice squad. I thought he flashed. You know, when Andrew Billings went down, they needed someone to help be a run stopper. And when they finally poached him off the Packers practice squad, I thought he did some good things. I did not think he played very well yesterday at all. It's one game, but when you're on the roster bubble and that defensive tackle position is crowded, you gotta make hay. And I didn't think he did that. He graded out better as a pass rusher than run defender, which that's not ideal for his prototype as a player. And that was in a healthy amount of snaps. He played almost 50 snaps. Give him credit. He's a big boy to play that many snaps at 100 degrees. Kudos to him. But, you know, you're behind Javon Dexter. You're behind Grady Jarrett. Andrew Billings, you're behind. Shamar Turner's injured right now, but he's going to be on the 53 unless they put him on short-term IR. I think Chris Williams is a better player. And even though I've soured on Zach Pickens and don't think he's very good, I thought he looked better yesterday. He had a sack, had a couple other times when I noticed him as well. Feels like that final defensive tackle spot could come down to Ford and Pickens. They could both get cut, theoretically. If Turner is ready to go for week 1, I mean, that's 5 healthy defensive tackles that are likely on the team with Shamar Turner, Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, Grady Jarrett, and then I think Chris Williams is ahead of Jonathan Ford and Zach Pickens. So, you know, the path to the roster is tough with Turner being banged up. You got an opportunity, but I did not think Ford played very well yesterday. All right, get yourself a Kaleb Williams jersey. $100 only. Typically, these jerseys are like $120 plus. These Nike Authentic NFL jerseys, they usually run $120 or more. This one's only $100. Chatsports.com/Kaleb jersey. It's a good deal. Take advantage today. Tre Flowers is next up. PFF graded him fairly well in the preseason opener. I do think he finished that game better than he started, but when he was out there early and against better competition, I thought the Dolphins were picking on him. Now, he did make a couple of PBUs, so he was able to bounce back a little bit, but he's just, I think he's over the hill. Like, he just looks slow. He's behind receivers a lot of the time. He battled. He played a bunch of snaps, so, kudos to him. The position is thin right now with the injuries. Jalen, Kyler, Terrell Smith. Not sure what's going on with Nick McLeod. Zay Frazier's away from the team. So there are opportunities that could save him. Maybe he sneaks onto the 53 initially because of injuries. But watching him against Miami's 2 3s and 4s, I felt like they were getting the better of him. I think his days of being an impactful NFL player behind him, and I think his days of being on this 53 are pretty slim at this point as well. All right, Doug Kramer is next up. He's injured right now. The saving grace for him is you don't have that true backup center, so maybe that gives him a shot. But Ryan Bates played a lot of center in the preseason opener and has that flex to do so. A, he stayed healthy, which is a big question mark coming into camp, talking about Ryan Bates. And B, him starting at center in the preseason opener, I think is pretty telling to me. And I felt like he, was at least solid. I think that could spell trouble for Doug Kramer, who's been banged up twice in this training camp. Also, I haven't heard a peep about utilizing the Doug Kramer fullback role. Now, maybe that's happened in closed practices, but I haven't heard about it. I haven't seen it. And without that role, that kind of diminishes him because he's kind of too small to play guard, so he's really center-only guard in an emergency. Ryan Bates can play both. He's been healthy, which was a question mark. It's still thin on the interior for backups, but I think Luke Newman's ahead of him. I thought he actually played pretty well before leaving with a concussion in the preseason opener. So I think Doug Kramer could be on the outside looking in, especially as he's banged up here. Support the show. Take 1 second. It takes 1 second to click the subscribe button. It's free of charge. We provide content every single day around this football team. You're not going to regret it. Help us out. All right, lastly, JP Richardson, my guy, who has had a pretty good training camp. I do think he's slowed down a little bit. Didn't do a ton in that preseason opener. Didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but when you're on the outside looking in, and especially when a fellow UDFA receiver has a really good day with a guy like Jade Walker, that's tough. It's a crowded room. It was crowded to begin with for guys on the outside looking in. And, I just feel like Jade Walker's path is a little clearer given he's a bigger receiver. This team has a lot of shorter, shifty slot receiver types. Where is JP Richardson going to penetrate that prototype on this team? I think Devin Duvernay's ahead of him. They trust him as the punt returner. Made some more splash plays at receiver. I think even a guy like Maurice Alexander, they might view as ahead of him. Certainly got into the game earlier than JP Richardson. I don't think JP's doing anything wrong. I just think it's tough when you have a crowded wide receiver room. And I thought Jade Walker popped. I thought he jumped off the screen. Had a nice fade ball touchdown from Case Keenum. Almost came down with another touchdown earlier in the game as well. There's more big play downfield ability with him. And again, there's no true backup big body receiver for Rome Odunze right now. It's probably Miles Boykin, but if it's not, it could be Jade Walker. I think it's a combination of the type of receiver JP is and just not doing as much as some other guys did, at least through the first preseason game. Still some time, but I think it's an uphill battle here. Keep it on the practice squad, though. Name a player that you don't want the Bears to cut. Who's someone you're fighting to keep on this roster? I want to hear from you guys right now because these are 5 guys that I think could be in trouble after the preseason opener. Tyler Scott, clock's been ticking on him all offseason, has yet to really convince any of us that he's going to be worthy of keeping. Jonathan Ford, poor preseason opener. We'll see if he can bounce back. He's right there on the bubble. Tre Flowers, a lot of injuries at corner. We'll see if he can prove he's worth keeping. Doug Kramer, banged up right now. Ryan Bates might prove to just be that backup center. And JP Richardson, given his style of play and how many slot receivers are on this team, just may not have a path to the 53. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. We will have more content on the channel. And also, I'm tweeting about the Bears on a daily basis. So give me a follow at HGrahamNFL.